Welcome to your daily dose of Sunday School, episode 73. We continue with Greg Kokel's Tactics. We're on chapter 7, 2 Reliable Rescues. Or maybe it's something like 3. So this all has to do with you're in a situation where you are dealing with somebody either smarter than you or on unfair terms or on both. The first example he gives, he calls the professor's ploy. And this is something you hear about sometimes, that maybe you've got the start of a school year and a college class. Lots of times it'll be one with a lot of freshmen in it. And it probably has nothing to do with religion. I heard this one from a friend. But the professor comes in, this guy, he threw a Bible across the room, basically said the book is garbage, and kind of challenged anybody to refute what he had to say. You hear about these things sometimes. Kokel gives an example where the professor says, well, the Bible is nothing but a book of fables and myths. Does anybody in here want to challenge that? They come in with a mindset. A lot of times they'll openly brag that there won't be any Christians left when the class is over. Now, what they're trying to do is lure you into a debate. And Kokel points out that is a universal law that whoever has the microphone wins. You're on this guy's turf. He is smarter than you, in a sense, not wiser than you, since he is a fool who denies the existence of God. But he also controls the debate. So you'll only get to talk when he wants you to talk, and he is just accustomed to humiliating freshmen who dare to oppose his blasphemy. And so Kokel says, whatever you do, refuse to get into a debate with this professor. Use your tactics. Raise your hand and just say, hey, what do you mean by the Bible is a book of myths? Or, oh, why'd you throw that Bible across the room? And then they explain, well, what do you mean by this? And then, after they've sufficiently clarified things, why do you think that? Ask for their evidence. Now, if they are shrewd, and they're like, this is not going like I want it to, then they might try to bait you again. Like, well, you're probably are you one of those fundamentalist Christians? Why do you think every word of the Bible is true? And Kokel says, whatever you do, do not take the bait. And frankly, I agree. I think that would be a mistake to get into a back and forth with this professor. The only thing that I would add to it is what I've called writing the check. If you want to take that opportunity to confess Christ and then sit down and refuse to say anything else, I think that is an excellent opportunity. Whatever you do, don't take the bait to get into a debate. If you want to say, that was very blasphemous what you did, and God has appointed a man, Jesus Christ, who will judge both the living and the dead, and you need to repent before the day you see him face to face. You don't have to say anything else. You wrote a check for Jesus to cash. You can sit back down because you're not going to get a fair chance to debate this guy. So do not take the bait. Another situation he mentions is if you're outmatched. So you find yourself trying to argue with somebody and you're like, well, this guy knows way more than me. And he has a very simple maneuver. Basically, admit you're outmatched. Pull out a piece of paper and a pencil and just start asking questions like we talked about. what do you mean by this? How do you know that? And just become a student of this person. Not that you are affirming what they believe, but you've admitted that they're smarter than you on this topic, and you write down everything they have to say about it. And you say, well, that gives me something to think about. Of course, you're going to go away and research it, but that allows you to, you don't have to outsmart anybody. You can move on to talk about something else, and you kind of diffuse that situation. Another one is you're trying to use the tactics. You're asking questions. What do you mean by that? How do you know that? But then this person just keeps sidestepping because they realize they don't know what they mean by that. They've been used to just throwing out all their verbal grenades, all their catchy slogans that get Christians off guard and riled up. And he said, okay, so somebody is sidestepping the questions. They're not answering your questions. They said another technique is to narrate the debate. Said, I asked you, this person's gone on to a whole different topic, and you said, hold on a minute. I asked you why you thought that there are infinite universes, and you never answered my question. Now, before we go on, could you please answer that? Well, that does a good job a lot of times of stopping the person in their tracks and trying to actually have a real conversation rather than them just kind of lobbing sentences that they've seen online at you. It also works if they insult you. I asked you why you thought all religions lead to God, and you called me a bigot. Why did you do that? It works in that case too.